What's going on, wrestling fans? You are now tuned in to the Power Hour with Jeff Upson and Eric Knopsnyder. And Eric, it's been a while since we were on the air, and that's mainly because I was stuck in a room for about 14 days, actually.
Yeah, you had a rough go of it.
Yeah. So I got the COVID. I got the coronavirus, and it sucked, Eric, to be honest with you. It was really awful. Got pretty sick and put me down and out. I had a pretty bad fever for almost a week, and still have some lingering effects, but it was bad. It's going through my job, my department pretty quickly. So unfortunately, it's just kind of it's hitting everybody. But that's why you see the I'm not trying to be like stalemates. I'm not trying to like grow my teenage beard. I haven't worked in a while, so that's why.
I'm just growing mine in solidarity with you, Jeff.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look good. You said you look like Santa Claus. I
feel like Santa Claus. Yeah, there's way too much gray in it.
Okay. I think you look pretty good. So, man, we have so much to talk about in just a short period of time, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. The COVID must have got into the wires down here or something because it screwed up.
Your computer got COVID now too.
My computer got COVID.
That's
man.
a different kind of virus that your computer gets, Jeff.
It needs the vaccine, honestly. So, but man, we have so much to talk about. There's so much that's happened since we last spoke, and I know you and Dyson did a power hour to talk about some of the cards that happened last night. But really, the main focus of tonight's going to be to talk about the PIAA season and the potential for a season, and really answer the question, what the heck is going on with wrestling in Pennsylvania? Because it's kind of crazy, right? There's not a lot that we know. What we do know is that the PIAA met yesterday, had a meeting about winter sports and the current shutdown. Of course, Governor Wolf put into place that shutdown for youth and high school sports until January 4th. But what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to be back up and running on January 4th, 5th? Or is there going to be another shutdown in place? Eric, what are your feelings right now based on the current trend of things? Do you think the governor's going to say, okay, January 4th, we're good to go to open things back up?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But it sounds like with the amount of people that are traveling for Christmas, for New Year's, for the holidays, I think we're going to see numbers probably spike a little bit again, which could lead to more problems. And I'm not even sure, even if he does say, okay, yeah, everything's back to normal on January 4th, in my area where I am, I know a lot of the schools aren't going to go back to in-school learning at that point. They're still going to be doing virtual. I know Somerset is off until the 14th. I think another school, is off until the 22nd. So if they're not going back to school until the 22nd, and those schools in particular have ruled that they can't practice for any sports if they're doing virtual learning. So you're looking at potentially January 22nd before one is going back right now. So, and then I know that the schedule has been tweaked a little bit so that you don't need 15 practices now, but even 10 practices, you're still into February before you can compete.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I believe they pushed back the team state tournament. We're going to talk about that and more all tonight. We're going to talk about the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event that happened last night. Also the Pitt Wrestling Club event that happened last night, which I thought was phenomenal. We may toot our own horns a little bit. We did receive an award that I'm pretty proud of and pretty excited about.
It's a major award.
It's a major award, like Ron Burgundy, We also are going to talk about the Wpial postseason. This is kind of fallen under the radar a little bit, at least outside of the Wpial, kind of the implications that are in place for the individual postseason, should there be a season in the Wpial, because this is crazy with what they're going to do for qualifiers. I mean, I don't see any way around it, but it's just crazy to think how it's actually going to be laid out. So, Eric, let's start with last night. Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. What were your takeaways there, other than Santa Claus getting he completely, I mean, he
The
lost
Grinch
that
got
match.
hosed.
Yeah,
The
the Grinch
Grinch
got
got
hosed.
hosed. It should have been over. It was a tech fall. It wasn't called. I'm still really upset about this.
So for those of you who missed the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club card last night, it was chock full of some great matches. One of them included Santa Claus versus the Grinch. The other one had to be Zane Rutherford and what he was able to do against a fan favorite, Eric, a guy who we've kind of, well, I'm not going to say we're the Bothering Boys like the rest of the Twitter.
Yeah, we're
folks.
not a part of that.
We're not
nothing against them. That's just not us.
But we're definitely fanboys.
He was phenomenal on that the 8-man bracket. He was so much fun to watch. And I don't know. I'm not going to make any excuses for him as to last night. If it was the travel and the timing and all that, flat out, Zane was better last night. No doubt about that. But yeah, Bajrang is definitely fun to watch. And last night Zane was just phenomenal. I mean, he finished so quickly. He was able to get a turn. Bajrang's defense is the thing I think we all know that he hangs his hat on. And so when he does get behind, it makes it a little tougher for him. But yeah, Zane was just phenomenal. That was probably as good, I think, as I've seen Zane.
I would agree with you. That was
in
probably
freestyle.
For sure in freestyle. That was he looked light years ahead of what he's looked like in previous freestyle events, specifically World Championships. He just was so he executed so well. And like you said, the finishes, he was able to time his shots perfectly. And David Taylor on the call said that he was like, the timing that he's been able to connect on shots was just, it was great. He looked really good. He looked sharp. He looked aggressive. He was clearing ties. He was getting into his offense. He really looked good against a guy who really was untouched through the Flow's 8-man bracket. I mean, he was undersized. He kind of went through it and only got better as he went on. I don't know, and David Taylor mentioned this, he kind of started off a little bit slow at the Flow's 8-man and then kind of got better as he went on. I'm not sure if he's the type of guy who, I'm sure he is the type of guy who gets better as the day progresses, but still, for him to come out and compete against Zane Rutherford, that was a great match. Zane looked great. I'm excited to see where Zane ends up, when it comes to the Olympic team.
Yeah, he was, like I said, that was as good as I think we've seen him in freestyle, and certainly a good time to kind of start ramping that up as we head into that Olympic run here in a couple months.
Also, a bunch of Pennsylvania wrestlers competed last night. There were so many wrestlers.
There were like 30 matches on that NLWC card.
There was a lot. So I'm going to put up the undercard results up here. Baylor Shunk from Penns Valley won. Brendan Meredith lost. David Evans from Tunkhannock, he won. I thought he looked great, by the way. I've always been a big fan of David Evans. He was at the Surge last year, really turned it on. I thought he wrestled really well and then just continued to wrestle well throughout the season. Ended up placing fourth in the state tournament. Bo Bartlett did what Bo Bartlett does best. He racked up points really fast, really quick, was able to get a tech fall really fast. Joey Bloomer also looked really good. I'm excited to see Joey Bloomer back on the mat. Haven't seen him there in a little bit. Ed Scott, did you watch that match with
I did not get to see that. I want to go back and watch it. I didn't really get to see any of the undercard on NLWC. I was kind of got in late and watched the PWC card while it was going, and then by the time I got over to the NLWC, it was over.
It was a really good match. Ed Scott scored really late to win it. He looked great. Who else from Pennsylvania competed was Aurelius Dunbar from Mercersburg Academy. He won 8-4. Creighton Etzel, he won from Wyalusing Valley. And Luke Gardner from Pottsville, he got a win 9-3. So I thought the undercard was very competitive. They called it an undercard, but I thought a lot of those matches were pretty tight. Like the Ed Scott one, I thought that was really good. And of course, you had the Lee brothers. You had Matt and Joe Lee both wrestling. Joe Lee beating Tyler Barnes, which was a good win for him. So overall, it was kind of cool to see, all these wrestlers that we don't typically get to see on a pretty cool stage, Eric.
Yeah, definitely. And this is what we love about the way things are headed right now, with especially with clubs joining the Rockfin platform and being able to put these cards on there. And hey, yeah, if you've got the depth and you can put this many matches on, there's an audience for it. And I think we're seeing that. We're seeing that with the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. We're seeing that with the Pittsburgh Wrestling Club, and we're seeing it on Flow, where there's an audience for this, and people are going to tune in. Now you've got that tip option on Rockfin, which we love, of course. Hit that tip button and send a little cash our way too. We'd love that. But I saw last night on PWC that you could see how much they were getting tipped, and it was kind of like, okay, well, this guy tipped $2, I'm going to tip $5, and then somebody tipped 10 and then 20, and then there was 150. And, it's awesome for the clubs to be able to get that people are seeing it and saying, hey, you know what? I'm watching this. I'd pay $10 to go watch this live if I could. Why not throw that tip towards them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty neat feature, and I'm happy that it's there, obviously. But the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club card was chock full. You look at the main event and kind of what went down there. I'll put up the results here. Franklin Gomez had a nice win. Michael Beard looked better than we've seen in events past. We kind of said his Achilles heel was he kind of tapered off as the matches were going on, and he looked great. In fact, I saw at the break, one of the coaches handed him a bottle of water, and he was like, "No, I'm good." He looked really good beating Nick Reenan. I mean, of course, Reenan's a guy who we've seen before on high levels. He's battled some really tough injuries, but Michael Beard came out and had a really nice win. Eric, I was impressed with him.
Yeah, I didn't get to see all of that match either, but what I did see, yeah, Beard definitely looked strong.
Kyle Snyder looked good. Ty Walls is no easy out. Carter Starocki, he beat Dan Bullard 13-2. He's a problem, man. He's going to be so good. I can't wait to see him at the college level. I can't wait to a full year of Big Ten wrestling for Carter Starocki, because he's going to have an amazing year.
All right, so did Carter change the pronunciation of his name, or are they just getting it wrong on the NLWC? Because they keep going Starocci, and it's just freaking me out.
I mean, I believe it's Starocki, but I mean,
I thought I asked him that years ago, whenever
Fargo,
we first started covering him, just to be sure, and I thought it was confirmed as Starocki. But yeah, back to his performance. I mean, I think Penn State has got two of the most exciting young guys in Kirkfleet and Starocki. That, man, how exciting is it going to be to see these guys compete in college? And I mean, even right now at the freestyle level, we're seeing it, that they're just so good for such young guys. I mean, they're just phenomenal. And I am really excited to see what the future holds for these guys.
Emma Bruntel beat Jen Page. That was the first loss we've seen Jen Page take, and she's been on, I feel like she's been on every single card here.
Yeah.
Hayden Hidley, he had a really tough match against Brady Burgee. I thought that was Burgee, for a guy who's been kind of in and out for so long because of the concussions and injuries. I thought he looked pretty good against Hayden, who he's one of the top guys in the nation.
Yeah, I thought this was a great result for Burgee. I mean, obviously didn't score any points. You'd like to see that, but I mean, going into this, I thought this is, Hidley wins this pretty easily. And 5-0. I mean, he struggled to put up points against Burgee. Burgee really had great defense, gave up some 1-pointers, but nothing big. Hidley wasn't able to get the offense going that we normally see out of him.
Nick Lee beat Tariq Wilson 14-10. That was a wild match.
Yeah, that was
a
fun match.
I mean, I think that's the one where they broke the TV.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah, they went off, and David Taylor's like, "Yep, that's broken. That's busted. Get that out of here." Back and forth, a lot of offense. 14-10. Now, remember, Tariq Wilson, he beat Luke Pletcher at the NCAAs. 3 years ago? It seems like now, but he, he's no slouch, and Nick Lee was able to really come out and come back and score some points. RBY's weird match with Aljamain Sterling, that was I think Sterling got that 4-pointer, which was cool, but that was about all he had.
Yeah,
And
but
then he submitted him.
Full props to him. I thought that he was gonna. I told Dyson on the Power Hour earlier this week. I said RBY is gonna tech him in like 30 seconds, and frankly, Sterling really had the better first period. RBY came back and kind of got back to basics and was able to do some things. But I didn't think Sterling would be able to stay on the mat with him. And, I thought he was a lot bigger than RBY. I'm not sure what the weights were there. But, it was a solid showing by him.
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, for considering he hasn't been, quote, wrestling for a while and just mainly focusing on MMA, I thought he looked good. There was a size difference there, but hats off to him for coming out and competing, because you're right. I think I texted the group. I was like, this is going to be quick. I think RBY's just was going to mop him up.
Yeah, until he got that 4-point throw, and then you're like, I meant quick for Sterling.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm always changing my picks. And then, of course, Zane Rutherford to end that night. Just a great win over Badrin Punya, 6-0. We talked about earlier. I was super impressed with him. This field, man, it's gonna be a war watching these guys try to get to to make the Olympic team, which is awesome for USA. But Badring, I mean, he's ranked what, top 5 in the world?
I think he was 2.
Yeah, number 2. So I mean, that just shows you where Zane is. So. But that was not the only wrestling we had last night. I got to watch, so I was flipping back and forth. I had both screens up of these two, of the Pittsburgh Wrestling Club event and the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event. The Pittsburgh Wrestling Club card, it was awesome. Like, there was some great matches. There was some really high intensity matches, just some brawls. Nico Megaludis and Zeb Miller were on the call, which was really cool. Both are great guys. Nico obviously being a Western PA guy. The opening match was Luke Werner from Lock Haven beating Louis Newell. That was a wild match to start off the night with a bang. He was down, came back, ended up getting a huge throw in the last 10 seconds, ended up getting a fall. Luke Kemmer beat CJ Manley. Really workman-like performance for him. Greg Harvey, CJ Brucky. That was I'm pretty sure they both left with like bruised eyes, bruised face. I mean, they were just punching each other in the face. Carly Gross.
Who won that? I didn't get to see.
Brucky
I missed the early card. Brucky did.
Yeah, Brucky did. But Harvey looked good, man. I was impressed with Harvey. I'm always impressed with Harvey and what he's been able to do. Just because, I'm not saying he wasn't the biggest recruit out of high school, but he wasn't like he
wasn't a blue chipper.
Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't a guy that you're like, oh, this guy's guaranteed AA or national finalist or anything like that. So yeah, I think Harvey's really taken some nice strides forward in his college career.
For sure, he has. And 2 Lock Haven teammates, two women wrestlers, Carly Gross, Elena Gill, wrestled. That was a wild match. They wrestled at the the PA Girls State Tournament last year. It was a 9-7 win for Carly Gross. She then went to the finals and lost to Montana DeLauder. But this was a wild match, back and forth. Gross ended up getting the win, but it was cool to see 2 teammates, wrestling each other. I would love to have, those 2 on a card sometime, wrestling other people other than themselves,
Yeah.
Isaac Reed beat Demetrius Thomas. That was a weird match. He scored off of a Thomas shot and was able to hold on for the win. Did you get to watch Cole Matthews and Shelton Mack, Eric?
That's the first one I did get to see. Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I mean, Cole Matthews is, he keeps getting better. Mack is obviously a more experienced guy, but yeah, impressed by Cole Matthews and what he was able to do.
Max, I think he's like 30. I mean, he's no spring chicken, as they say, and he looked great. I just am always surprised to see him continue to compete, because he's been competing for it seems like forever. I mean,
is he that old?
Yeah, he was at Meadville and then Pitt. He's been at least like 3 or 4 different colleges coaching. Virginia, he's bounced.
Yeah, that's true. He was at Virginia. I forgot about that.
He's bounced around, man.
He's where, Maryland now?
Yeah, but Columbia. And
Columbia. Okay.
Yeah, he's just. I I'm just always surprised that he's competing, but he loves it. I love watching him compete. Two District 10 guys going at it. Nino Bonacorsi got revenge on Travis Stefanik from Nazareth. That was a rematch of the 2017 state finals in which Stefanik won. Nino Bonacorsi gets the win this time. He looked really good. You said he looked big. Like, I think he's filled out. I don't think he got like fat, Eric. I think
no, I'm not saying he's fat, but I mean, obviously going up from 84 to 97, he's going to be bigger. I think that, you know, you'll still see a more toned Nino once we get into the season, probably.
Yeah, and we probably will, but I mean, I thought he looked really. I don't know. I thought he looked solid. You know, he just continues to score, goes after it. And I remember he took an ill-advised shot, and Nico's like, he just keeps on scoring and shooting. That wasn't a good shot. You know,
that's what I told our buddy Vince, who helped us out at True Power. He was asking me about some of these, and I said, Nino said he's going to shoot 600 times a match, whether he needs to or not.
Yes, he is. Mickey Philippi and Ethan Lezak, great match. That was kind of a rubber match. They wrestled at the Powerade back in high school. They wrestled in college, Philippi winning. So Philippi had a nice win over Lezak. I'm, again, very impressed with the way he was able to control Ethan. Darian Cruz, he had a really nice win. Eric, you want to go ahead with this name? Because I know it as Samat, but...
Yeah, I just call him Samat as well. He's a PWC guy, and, you know, Darian looked awesome. He did a really nice job against a really experienced guy in Samat.
Yeah, I mean, remember when Cruz wrestled Gilman at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event, and he looked good to start, and then just kind of
gassed out, yeah.
You know, and I was kind of not expecting the same thing. I was just kind of curious to see how he would do, especially against an international level guy. Darian looked great. I was very impressed with him, as I was impressed with Luke Pletcher. Dave Habit is no easy out. He's a world team member from Slovenia. You know, he's been
Euro place winner.
Yeah, right. So I mean, he's been on the circuit for a while, and Luke Pletcher he owned him. I mean,
yeah. Luke controlled this in every way.
Yeah, so, I mean, Luke. And Nico said it on the air, you know, it just continues to make strides and improvements, you know, from his senior year. Unfortunately, you know, that was cut short, but winning the Big Tens, you know, just scoring points at will, essentially. He really looked good last night against Habit. So I think the future's bright for him and the Pittsburgh Wrestling Club in general. So I love that event. I thought it was a great event. I'm hoping that we get to see another one from them soon, because there was a lot of good wrestling there, and a lot of mixtures of wrestling. You had New Jersey Wrestling Club, Regional Training Center. You had Lock Haven, Matttown. You had, you know, some female matches. It was just pretty cool to see a different mix of matches, Eric.
Yeah, and I think this is what we're going to see more of. I mean, it's awesome to see the NLWC, which has so much depth and so many guys that are household names, and they can go out and wrestle NC State, the Wolfpack, and, you know, to have a great card like they did. But most of these regional training centers maybe aren't quite as deep as the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and don't have all those guys, even with throwing some college guys in there. So if we can see this where it can be a mixture of a couple different RTCs and a couple different colleges, hopefully those guys are going to be back, you know, competing in the NCAA soon, and they won't be on these cards for the next couple months. But I think we will continue to see the RTCs mix and match, get some good cards together. I mean, this is a win-win-win situation. It's great for the wrestlers. It's great for the fans. It's great for the RTCs. I mean, I don't see any downside to the way these cards are going right now.
And like you said, the tipping feature really helps. You get to see a lot of, you get to see some extra funds coming your way. And, you know, if you're enjoying watching it, then why not give a tip, right? It's pretty cool the way that Rockfin has really evolved, if you will. And I think we've only scratched the surface, to be honest with you. You know, we're hoping to host some more events on Rockfin, but it's so up in the air right now with everything with the PIAA and with the you know, the governor and the Department of Health. So we're kind of keeping things on the back burner. Speaking of the PIAA team tournament back burner, Eric, let's talk about that. So the PIAA met. They kind of came to the conclusion that, oh crap, if we come back January 4th, right? Well, the first thing, let's talk about practice. So I feel like
Practice.
Allen
Talk
Iverson.
about practice.
I know Dyson probably doesn't even know who Allen Iverson is.
No,
Dyson,
way before Dyson.
gosh, that's embarrassing. The practice policy. So it used to be 15 days or 15 practices before.
When did they start that? Was that fairly recent?
I don't think so. I think that's been.
It was just never
standard.
talked about before.
I don't think it's ever been an issue before, right?
No. No. Okay.
So they changed that to 10. So it's only 10 practices now before you can compete. Now, after a 14-day break, you have to have 4 practices. Okay. So from that point, and I'll put this up on the screen for you to see. So if you completed 6 or greater. Okay, so 6 or greater practices completed prior to the shutdown, you only need 4 practices on that restart. Okay, so that means you just have to get that magic number of 10. Now, say you've had 0 practices, which, like you said, a lot of schools out your way. I know a lot of schools out east, they haven't had 1 practice. So they're at 0 coming in after the shutdown. They have to have 10 before they can compete. So theoretically, you could compete on January 8th if you're a school that had 6 or more practices completed prior to the shutdown. Does that make sense, Eric?
It's kind of like Common Core math for me. It's just really confusing. But no, I get it. Basically, it's that kind of inverse scale that you've got to get to 10 practices, and it does make sense. It's a little confusing to try to explain it. But when you see it there and you can say, okay, 10, 0, yeah, I get it.
Okay, so that was big, right? That was really big because now, like I said, theoretically, you could have wrestling happen on January 8th. Okay, so that's pretty big. But what they also came up with during that is like, okay, well, if our season is so condensed, right? Because we have a lot of teams that they're just realistically not going to be able to compete on January 8th. They're probably going to have to wait till the following week because they need to get those practices in. Now we're basically that regular season is essentially like a week long, 2 weeks long before you go right into the team postseason, right? So they're in their opinion, the PIAA voted to delay or postpone the PIAA team tournament to after the individual tournament. So that way, in theory, you could have a longer regular season, if you will, for the individual portion of this. This was we kind of expected the practice thing to pass, and we kind of knew that was going to happen. I was a little surprised to the fact that they opted to postpone the team tournament just simply on the fact that the winter season ends on March 27th. The PIAA, because remember, they're not changing the seasons here, right? The PIAA's like they're dying on that hill. They're like, we're not changing the dates.
Because it's awesome to play baseball in March in Pennsylvania.
It's awesome. They're not changing that. So March 27th is it, right? So if you start your season not until late January, you've got 2 months, right? So they've got to fit in the team state tournament, individual state tournament. So what I'm hearing is the team tournament is likely, the PIAA team tournament will likely be either March 13th and March 27th or March 29th or the potentially the 30th if they extend that season. I don't know if they can. I'm not sure how that actually works, but what thoughts on that, Eric?
I'd rather see options are good to me. What we're facing right now, the more options we have, the better. So, if we get there and, we need that extra time, that's great to have that option to push that team tournament back. And, I think we're in a different situation now where I think teams will be willing to say, hey, yeah, okay, individual tournaments over, but we still want a shot at that team title. We still want to get our guys to Hershey and try to wrestle in the team tournament. So I think that's good. We talked a little bit about it off air. This isn't back when they first launched the team tournament and Bald Eagle was like, yeah, we're just going to send our backups there because we're not really worried about that. I mean, there's a lot of pride now that goes into that team tournament and competing for that title. And in a lot of ways, I think teams are more concerned with winning that team title than they are what they do in the individual tournament as far as team scoring goes. Now, obviously, they all want to get their guys on top of the podium or on the podium. But as far as the team aspect goes, I think it's enough of a draw that people will be willing to say, yeah, we're going to keep going even after the individual tournament is over, and we'll keep pushing and try to keep that team together to do well in the postseason that way.
I mean, I really hope so because, I mean, the team tournament and Brad Wilson kind of touched on this a little bit when I saw what he was saying is, there's some of the best wrestling, we see in the season happen at the team tournament, and it's poorly attended. It doesn't get as much hype as it probably should, but you're right. The team title is more that dual team. The dual team title is the title that everyone wants to win. The individual tournament, you win the team title. Yeah, that's good, but it's the dual teams that we really talk about. So I'm surprised, but I'm not, because like you said, it's options are good. I don't know how many teams would opt out of competing in the team postseason.
I'm sure there'll be some smaller ones that are like, yeah, we're not going to worry too much about it. We weren't going to do much anyway. But I'm sure the powers, the ones that have a chance of getting to Hershey and doing well are going to be all for it.
I would hope so, and I would think so. And the Wpial, and I'll post that up there, that image, because the Wpial came out with their amended team postseason, and what they have is February 8th they'll have their team section championships, then the 10th they'll have the Wpial semifinals, and then the 13th they'll have the Wpial championship, and you'll see a TBD for the PIAA tournament. So they actually pushed the Wpial team stuff back a week. So if this happens the way it's laid out, you're going to wrestle the team Wpial championships on the 13th of February,
and then have a month and a half off.
a month off until you actually wrestle in
if you're looking at past the 27th, I mean, you're looking at a month and a half.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how they can wrestle past the 27th if the winter season's over.
I thought that they did get the option to go to like the 29th even.
I mean, I don't know. I would have to look into that because I just know the winter season ends at 27th. So in theory, you wouldn't be able to compete in a winter sport. But
I could be wrong on that. But I thought I saw a tweet saying that from someone that said that they were able to go past that even to the 29th maybe. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
I did see that about the team wrestling tournament. Is that I did see that. I just don't know if it's as easy as, hey, we're going to wrestle in the 20s, past the 27th or not. So, but that's what the Wpial team would look like. I'm assuming that most districts are going to look something like that, right? They're going to have their team title or team championship before the individual postseason starts, and then just kind of resume and pick back up the team. I mean, and remember, if you're going to be wrestling in the team district tournament, there's only, a handful of teams that are actually going on to the state tournament. District 1, you're going to send 4. District 2 or District 11, you have 2. District 3, 4. So there's only a handful of schools that are actually going on to compete in that. So I don't. Yeah, that was. Let me ask you this: is it doomed, Eric? Do you think that the team tournament is actually going to happen as we know it? The PIAA team tournament is. Do you think it's going to happen as we know it? What do you?
I'm more optimistic about this because of that delay than I would have been before. If we were trying to squeeze this in before the individual tournament, then no, I would not have been optimistic at all. But now that we're saying, hey, we can wrestle up to the team district championships and then concentrate on individuals and then come back to the team championship later, then yeah, I think, if we can get an individual championship in this season, and there's not some kind of weird spike between individual and team championships, why not? I think that's absolutely feasible.
And I would agree with you that why not? Why not do it? If you can. And like you said, by that time, so much is going to be different. I'm sure by March. I would hope. With society, with the vaccination. But here's my fear, Eric. We're going to have cases spike. So we saw it after Thanksgiving, and it kind of takes a week or so before we start seeing really the spikes. I know just personally at work in the police department, that was when we were getting spiked. We had a whole bunch of people that were getting COVID, testing positive with it, and a week after Thanksgiving. So my fear is that we're going to have Christmas and New Year's. Cases are going to start creeping up to levels that we saw pre-Thanksgiving or post-Thanksgiving, and we're going to extend that shutdown from the 4th, 2 weeks. I don't know. And then that really screws up the schedule for the rest of the PIAA season, to the point where you may say, I don't know. I mean,
and that's why not that the PIAA ever listens to me, but that's why I was advocating for, hey, let's push everything back a month. Let's push the winter sports season back a month. Let's push the spring sports season back a month. And then you can play baseball whenever the weather is actually decent, instead of trying to play in the snow and the rain and the muck and the mud and, everything that we go through every spring sports season in Pennsylvania.
Well, the problem is the PIAA doesn't listen to you, and the other problem is a lot of people have been advocating for that. In fact, some high-profile folks have been advocating for a postponement of the winter season or push it back. You and I said that. In fact, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, Eric, but I said that back in August, that other states, I think Colorado and some other states out west, were just already preemptively pushing it back. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's crazy. By then we're going to be fine. And I still think you push it back. Why can't, and Brad Wilson wrote an article about this, why not have the winter season happen, later into the year, and spring just, goes into to June and July? I don't, is it that crucial that we have it in the parameters that we've always had it? I don't know.
The only thing I can see is, and to me in the year 2020, 2021, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, kids getting to a baseball practice in June or July. Years ago when families had one car and, that was at work and they didn't have a way to get to school to practice, maybe that was an issue. But it just feels like right now that isn't going to be a major issue for people. Now, if you want to say that some kids are going off to college right away or going to the military academy or something like that, yeah, it would affect a small number of student athletes who may not be able to complete that season. And that would suck, no doubt about that, through no fault of their own. But that's what we're facing in every one of these COVID situations, is these kids are losing opportunities through no fault of their own.
Yeah, and really, I think you have to be, we have to be realistic about it. And like I said, the PIAA wants to die on the hill of we're not pushing and postponing, but you're going to push it to the point where you're not going to have a season at all. Winter sports are not going to happen. But then spring, you're going to have like a normal season. Not saying
what I saw was that they didn't want to punish those spring sports, which lost all the 2020 season. They didn't want those kids to end up being negatively impacted again with this. But I mean, wrestling was fortunate. Basketball teams didn't get to play for a state title last year.
True.
So they're getting screwed again.
I mean, okay, I kind of get it, but I don't like how. Are you really screwing over spring athletes?
I don't think so. Like I said, to me, spring baseball, and especially where I live in the Laurel Highlands, up in the mountains, it's awful weather here in March. You don't get outside until April, and then it's raining every day.
Yeah.
So I think playing in May and June would be awesome.
the winners in all this are fall sports. Fall sports, they
got their stuff in.
They got their stuff in. They're like, hey, it was summer
cool.
practice. COVID was down. We got our season in last year. Now this year we're good. Yeah. Spring and winter, not so much. Before we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the Wpial individual postseason and kind of the proposals that have been put out for how they're going to run their individual postseason. It's very, very interesting. So we'll be back in 30 seconds.
This is The Tactical Mind, and I work with athletes in the field of sports psychology as a cognitive performance coach. Within 5 minutes of talking to a parent, they make the connection right away that this would be great for my kid to have when they're in college, when they're just going through the ups and downs of high school. Who wouldn't benefit from having more self-awareness? Who wouldn't benefit from having the ability to self-regulate our emotions and our counterproductive thoughts? Who wouldn't benefit from having more optimism, not just on the field, but in life?
And of course, you can go to the tacticalmindllc.com, use the promo code POWER to receive 50% off your initial consultation with the Tactical Mind and Nick Fuller. So I encourage you to please do that, because if I'm a wrestler right now, my mind's all over the place, man. I'm having trouble, focusing on what I need to do, and with all this uncertainty. The biggest uncertainty for a lot of these wrestlers is what's the postseason going to look like if there is one. Well, the Wpial came out with a proposal for their subsection. So I'm going to put this up on the screen here, Eric, for our viewers to see. So basically what the postseason would look like in the Wpial is, of course, maybe not everyone knows this, but the Wpial is broken into sections and then subsections. So 4 sections in AAA, and of those sections, you have subsections. You have subsection 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, so on and so forth. So what they would do is you would have 6 subsections in AA. In AAA, you have 8 subsections, right? So you have 4 sections. So each section has a subsection. So you would have essentially 8 tournaments happen before you even have the section championships. So if you look on the image on the screen, you would have subsection 1 and 4 wrestle on the 17th, 2 and 3 wrestle on the 18th, and then you would have a section tournament on the 20th. The key here is, of those subsections, only 2 make it out of there. So, for example, look at some of the subsections. Now, they redid the subsections this year, and Greg Warnock somewhere is loving this, because he loves talking about the Wpial subsections. And subsection 1A, Armstrong, Fox Chapel, Hampton, Highlands, Indiana, Kiski. 1B, Franklin Regional, Gateway, Penn Hills, Penn Trafford, Plum, Woodland Hills. 2A is Albert Gallatin, Baldwin, Bell Vernon, Collinsville, Thomas Jefferson, and West Mifflin. 2B is Greensburg-Salem, Hempfield, Latrobe, McKeesport, and Norwin. So traditionally, Section 1 was always I was pretty strong. They've kind of shifted it a little bit between 1 and 2, but you still have some really deep sections there. Greensburg-Salem, Hempfield, Latrobe, Norwin. That's a pretty good section. And then, of course, you go to Section 3. 3B is pretty tough. Mars, North Allegheny, North Hills, Pine, Richland, and Shaler. 4A, Canon-Mac, Char Valley, South Fayette, Trinity, and Waynesburg. That's a pretty big one there with Waynesburg, because you got Waynesburg and Canon-Mac, 2 premier powers. So remember, only 2 come out of there. So
right, and you're going to have, in those 2 teams, you're going to have pretty solid guys at every weight class. So if you're Chartiers Valley, South Fayette, or Trinity, you've basically got to knock off at least a Waynesburg or a Canon-Mac guy to advance.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about it before. Trinity has a ton of stud freshmen. They do return a bunch too. So, I mean, I think that's probably the strongest subsection, potentially. I don't know exactly. Char Valley, I mean, you got Evans, you got a bunch of other guys that are can go deep into the postseason. And South Fayette, they're always kind of on that bubble between a AA and AAA school, but they're always competing. So 4A is a pretty tough subsection. 4B would be Bethel Park, Central Catholic, Mount Lebanon, Peters Township, Ringgold, and Upper St. Clair. That's a pretty good one too. I'm just so the way that it would be formatted, you would have your subsection championships, 6 entries each, right? There's only 6 schools for each one in both AA and AAA. Then you would have the top 2. Now, I am told that they are going to do true second, which is great because you need to have a true second if you're only sending 2 wrestlers to the sectional championships. Once you get out of their subsection, you go to your section championship, 4 wrestlers, they send the top 2. Again, true second. Those 2 would then go on to the Wpial championships, would be an 8-man bracket. The top 3 go to the super regional in the West, then so on and so forth, which we talked about before. AA is very similar. Subsections, you would have 6 of those, then section championships, Wpial championships, Southwest regional, West super regional. It's pretty interesting, though. There's going to be a lot of good, and we knew this going into this, there's going to be a lot of good kids sitting at home. But I think this really just brings it to light how deep, especially when you look at the Wpial, how deep some of these subsections are and how many good wrestlers are not going to make it potentially even to a section championship, that's crazy. It's just wild to think, Eric.
It is. And you're right. We talked about this before. It sucks for these kids in a lot of ways because you'd love to be able to see the best guys all get to Hershey, but we know that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, some of these guys are going to be sitting at home. But, I'm also trying to look at the positive out of it these super regionals, it's going to be fantastic. There's going to be some great wrestling there, and it's going to be super high stakes where you have to win in order to get to Hershey. Whereas before, you might have been able to take 5th at the region and, still get out in AA or whatever. And now you've really got to get through that Northwest-Southwest combo, to get there. And it's just going to make for some fantastic wrestling and some great matches.
Yeah, I would 100%. I agree with you. I wish, there's going to be a lot of good wrestling. There's no doubt there's going to be a lot of good wrestling. It just sucks because there are going to be a lot of good kids that just don't get the opportunity just by virtue of the area where they wrestle, because they're in a hotbed.
Unfortunately, everything with COVID sucks. There's nothing that you can be like, yeah, that's awesome.
No, it sucks.
It sucks. You had it. It sucked. What it's done to our economy, it sucks. What it's done to our sports, our kids, everything, it sucks.
Right. Yeah, I get it. And I'm not, trying to cry about it, but it just looking, I think when I look at the subsections and the sections in the Wpial, it just really hits you. You're like, dang, there's going to be like, this person could be sitting at home, and they don't even get a chance, even though they could be top 3 in their section or top 4 in the Wpial. There's many years where the best wrestlers all come from the same section. So like, I get it. I know you got to be the best, and you got to win. You know the parameters. You got to win to advance. It's dog eat dog world right now, and which makes for wrestling fans it's pretty cool because we're going to see a ton of good wrestling every single weekend. I'm very curious to see what other districts, because you look at like the EPC out in District 11 and their leagues. I don't know how they're going to do it because I don't think they can have a full on, because District 11 just has a district tournament. They don't have any like sections.
Right. And I haven't seen like my area District 6 AA. They're like 22 teams or something. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I had thought maybe I'd see something by now about sections, but I hadn't seen anything like that they're going to break it down so that they don't have that one big bracket.
Yeah. So, that's the question. The Wpial, the domino effects could start happening. We could start seeing other districts start putting out plans for how a individual postseason would look like, such as splitting up the sections or creating sections. Because, like I said, with District 11, AAA, you have how many schools, in District 11, and you're talking about Northampton, Bethlehem Catholic, Nazareth, Stroudsburg, the list goes on and on. Easton. Now all of a sudden you're saying, well, we got to split them up so that way when you get 8 into the district tournament, well, how are we going to do that? And then
of course this is all dependent too on whether or not we have restrictions come postseason time as to how many people can be in a building. Because if this is all great, saying, okay, we're going to have 8 teams there, we're going to be good with this. But then if the state says, oh yeah, by the way, you can only have 25 people in a building, then what do we do?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's there's the capacity limits are really what's going to hurt these tournaments. And we saw it with the PJW. So if you've been living under a rock the last 2 days, PJW canceled the area and state championships, which caused like a complete meltdown of parents and coaches and wrestlers, which I get. I mean, it's early to pull the plug, but I don't fault the PJW for making a decision that they felt. It's not like one person just came up and made that decision. They have a committee, they have a group of individuals that made that decision. They obviously discussed it at length, I'm sure, and that was a decision they came up with. But the vacuum that's now created, where you're having multiple different entities trying to replicate or have a type of tournament that is similar, is kind of tough right now. And I know there's some different groups vying for it, and I think from what I was told recently was that they are going to work together to try to have one tournament where you're not going to have, all right, everyone out east is going to go out to this tournament, everyone out west is going to go to this one, and everyone in between kind of figure it out. So these are challenges that we are facing with PJW pulling the plug now, which it's kind of interesting just because we saw the PJW, they didn't cancel for the longest time. They kept on postponing, and then
with the elementary in 2020,
and then so now to pull the plug earlier than a lot of people expected. I don't know. Maybe they did it thinking, okay, we can't do it traditionally how we've done it before. So this pulling the plug early, now it allows for other people to try to pick up the baton. I don't know, Eric. It's interesting.
I didn't get to talk to anybody from PJW about it, but since the junior high event is held in Johnstown, I did a couple stories for some local papers here about the impact, and I talked to the Visit Johnstown folks, and they're saying, look, from a planning standpoint, 3 months is right around the corner. Like, this is almost to us.
True.
So this was from their standpoint, and they said, they're not sure how the PJW works with that, but if they were planning an event, 3 months is like, hey, we've got to make a decision now. Like, we can't wait until a week before and cancel, because you're putting out a lot of money for a lot of different things. And if you do that and then cancel it the week before, you're just eating all of that money. That's just a total loss. So I think it was probably a big financial part of it was saying, hey, we need to make this decision now. And it sucks. Nobody wants to make this decision to pull the plug on PJWs 3 months out. But at the same time, you can't afford, because I'm sure they lost a lot of money in different ways
from last year,
from the elementary one. Yeah. So they've got to make the decision now and live with it. And unfortunately, that's the way where we are right now.
But I do have confidence that the folks that are involved right now in trying to bring some type of tournament to the youth and junior high wrestlers are going to come to some type of an agreement and actually work together to make it happen. So I'm fingers crossed on that. And we've definitely have our ideas on what could happen if some parts of the season get canceled and working on. And we're going to have wrestling. It's whether and what capacity.
It may be in someone's basement.
It certainly may be in a back alley somewhere. It could be in another state.
And they're one's doing that too. I've seen them like, hey, come across the Ohio line and wrestle here.
Yeah, for sure. There is, and New York, Journeyman is trying to host a a tournament for the New York state tournament in Pennsylvania at Spooky Nook. So that's interesting, even to say, well, you know, you're coming across state lines to have a state tournament, which is wild.
And not just across the state line. I mean, Spooky Nook is not exactly on the northern border there.
No, you're traveling some distance. So we will keep you posted on all those things. We will have wrestling, and you know, we tweeted out on social media yesterday about what matches people wanted to see, and you know, we've got some different ideas, and we definitely want to host some type of an event within the parameters and guidelines that are set forth for us. But you know, we would like to do something. So
well, and the reaction to that post asking what they want to see, you can definitely tell that there are people out there that are really starved for competition, and fans that are starved for seeing those competitors go at it. Because we got all kinds of responses, DMs, people asking us, hey, can I wrestle this guy? Can I be in it? You know, there's been a tremendous response to that tweet and post that you had out there.
Yeah, and which is great, but you know, it's tough to navigate. So for everyone who asked for a match and they asked for to wrestle, you know, give us some time to work through some things, and give us some time to kind of see what happens with the season. Because if the governor comes back and says, okay, we're going to continue that shutdown for another week, okay, well, then that keeps on pushing us back further and further. Because, you know, my biggest thing is we don't want to see a kid get punished for competing and doing some type of event that we have.
Exactly.
And I think there is a season.
That's important for people to understand, that there could be repercussions from some of these kind of rogue events, that if you wrestle in them, I mean, there is a chance that the PIAA is going to say, hey, you wrestled in that event. It wasn't allowed during this time period. You're unable to compete for the season that we do have. And that is, you're right, that's the last thing we want to have is PA power, is to get a kid in trouble with the PIAA.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, we will have wrestling, and we are going to have more events. We are planning on doing more events, and highlighting all the great wrestling we have in Pennsylvania on all levels. You know, girls, youth, college, high school, it doesn't matter. You know, there's been a lot. Maybe you and me are going to wrestle, Eric. There's been some requests for you and I to wrestle. Which
I saw that one.
Strange.
I saw somebody wants me to wrestle Willie.
Your wife. They want you to wrestle your wife,
yeah,
which is kind of weird. Maybe you want to avoid that.
Yeah, that because especially if I lose, I mean, that wouldn't be good.
That's embarrassing. Speaking of, so before we sign off, Girl Power's coming. I can't wait.
Yeah, how
for this.
exciting is that, Joe?
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. And this has been in the works for a while. Like Lily, Cher, and Chris Atkinson, and folks from the Sanction PA movement. We've been this has been on the back burner for a while. We're really stoked about this, having Lily provide some really good content. She's doing rankings. She's going to be doing podcast interviews, really shining a light on girls wrestling in Pennsylvania. And it was awesome that she is willing to do this and be such a great ambassador for the sport of wrestling in Pennsylvania for girls. So yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. You know, she's going to be up and running very shortly, and I cannot wait to see what she puts out. It's going to be a lot of fun, Eric. And I think this just shows the growth of PA Power, and, you know, how committed we are to really highlighting all these phenomenal girls that are competing. I mean, we just saw it last night with Carly Gross and Elena Gill. I mean, those are two girls that maybe a lot of people don't know, but they're two really good wrestlers that, I mean, go back and watch that match. That was a great match. I don't care what type of wrestling you are used to watching. That was a great match. So I think this is just going to continue to shine light onto the Sanction PA movement, and hopefully get us closer to that 100 team mark.
Yeah, that's what somebody just asked me about girls wrestling and said, well, is it really that popular to have this sanction movement? And I said, well, the way you have to look at it is it takes a lot of dedication and heart and perseverance to be a girl on a boys team, not only competing against boys, but just being around all other boys. I mean, I don't know what the numbers say, but it wouldn't shock me that for every one girl that is willing to do that on a boys team, there might be 3 girls that said, well, if there was a girls team where I could be around other girls, practice with other girls, wrestle with other girls, not have to worry about the difference between folk style and freestyle, then maybe you'd get 3 girls for every one that's wrestling now. And imagine how strong Pennsylvania would be if we had that, if we had 3 girls, 3 times the amount of girls competitors that we have right now. I mean, we already have some awesome girls out there, but if we triple that number, that would be fantastic for the sport, fantastic for the state, and fantastic opportunities for all the girls in the state.
And not to go off on a tangent, but what we're seeing is this breeds like so for example, Montana DeLauder in Gettysburg, she's a big name, but look at all the other girls that are competing on Gettysburg. So like you have those clusters. You look at Delaware Valley, Lily Scherer, she's got her and several other girls that are competing on the boys team. Do you think it's easier to attract girls when you can say there's a girls team? Because like you said,
absolutely,
these pioneers, these trailblazers of girls that have sucked it up for 4 years and have been on a boys team as a girl competing, they're the ones that are blazing the trail to say, okay, now because like you said, it's not about the numbers currently. It's those potential numbers of all those girls that were on the fence about wrestling. They're like, I'm not going to be on a boys team. Like, I'm just not going to do that. All those potential girls that could be wrestling, I think our numbers are going to just skyrocket. And I think that's a no-brainer, but for some people it's not, I guess.
Yeah. And, I think we're definitely making strides. And, again, I think COVID has probably set us back in the number of girls teams that have committed so far, because obviously there's so many other things going on right now that movement towards girls teams probably isn't on the front burner like it could have been in a quote unquote normal year. I know there are a couple schools around me that had looked like they were going to have a girls program commit to it, but they haven't pulled that trigger yet just because of where we are and in the state of everything going on with the pandemic.
Yeah, had that not happened, I think we would be seeing a completely different, sanctioned PA movement. But I think it's only a matter of time. Once things return kind of back to normal-ish, I really don't think it's going to be long until we reach that 100 schools. So I'm just excited to see and hear from Lily and the content she's going to be providing on PA Power Wrestling through Girl Power, which is awesome. So on a last note, Eric, we did get nominated and won a pretty prestigious award. I'm pretty excited about this. I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, that we got it, because I thought the Open Mat had it in the bag. This is our second year being nominated for it. Last year we did not win. This year we did win the National Wrestling Media Association Outlet of the Year award, which it's a huge honor. I mean, I was so humbled and proud because of what we've been able to accomplish from a bunch of wrestling junkies and enthusiasts. To win the NWMA Outlet of the Year for exemplary comprehensive coverage of wrestling just doesn't make sense to me. It's wild, because I feel like we can do so much more, and I feel like I don't think we've reached our full potential yet. So
No, I agree with you, and we talk about that all the time, about all the big ideas we have and all the places we want to get to and all the things we want to do. And so then to see this award and to see Scott Green talking about all the amazing things we did this year, and we're like, really? Because we have so much bigger goals. Like we're getting there, and Dyson has been a key part of that. I mean, Dyson's been an awesome addition.
He has.
The kid is so motivated. He keeps
me. I mean,
exactly.
And that's the thing with Dyson, is he pushes me. Like he's a thorn in my side.
Well, that's the way it was the other night. Me. Like he asked me to do the podcast with him the other night. I'm like, man, I got so much going on. But you don't want to disappoint Dyson. Like he's working so hard, and he's like, well, I was gonna go to practice, but I can't do that. So can we do a podcast tonight? And I'm like, yeah, we'll squeeze it in somehow.
We'll get it. Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's what you need. That's what you need in the wrestling room. This is that guy that's gonna push you. When you're tired and you don't want to go, and he's like, come on, let's go. We got another period. And that's Dyson. He's pushing us. He's driving us. So that's awesome to have him in there. And yeah, we've come a long way from whenever I joined up with you a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, I think it is now. We've come a long way since then, but I think we have a lot of things that we can get better at, a lot of things we can do to continue to grow the sport and to publish wrestling, to push girls wrestling. There's so many things that we want to do, and we're really excited about. So we're gonna keep working on that and keep driving forward and see what we can do.
And the thing I'm most proud about, Eric, is the fact that we're doing this basically as a hobby, right? We all have full-time jobs. You and I both have full-time jobs and families and lives, and we're still that's my biggest when I kind of hang my hat on is the fact that we're doing this really on limited time. And I don't.
Yeah, can you imagine if we could devote 40 or 60 hours a week to this as opposed to let's cram this in on top of a 40 or 60 hour week already?
That'd be nice. And maybe one year when we reach that, it'll be.
Really need to hit that tip button to get us there.
Hit that tip button while you're thinking about that. Hit that tip button. So we're not asking for like Flo's like $40 million. We just need something, but hey, we're doing good things, Eric, and I appreciate all your help and I appreciate everything you've brought to the table, like you said, since joining up in like 2016 now, and Dyson. Shout out to Dyson, everybody, and everybody that's been a part of PA Power Wrestling. It's awesome to see and be recognized. So we got a lot more work to do though. So
yeah, we didn't get any All-Americans on the Scott Green list. We got to keep pushing.
You got to start acting like a fool. You need to like.
You mean I haven't been so far?
No, you need to start
that for years.
You need to start chewing, and like we need to start having like a happy hour type thing where we're just like
so
like
we're just
Tony
stealing
Hager.
Ideas from other people.
Yeah,
now?
well, that's what Rockfin's all about, isn't it? I mean, there's a lawsuit for that, right? That we just steal everyone's ideas. We should just get hammered and just talk about wrestling.
The ultimate coup would be to have that Karen from Flo. I know there's a rogue page out there on Rockfin, the Karen from Flo. But if we could get Karen on Rockfin, that would be the coup.
You mean like the real Karen?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I want to stay as far away as possible from her. Don't forget about that. Hey, Eric. Speaking of, we're way over our hour. We went 10 minutes over. I apologize.
Well, I wasn't sure. We had the rough start with the technical difficulties, so I didn't know what time.
The first show after being named Outlet of the Year, and we can't we can't
screw it up.
I'm in my my Cape Cod basement with very little technology. I love it, and hey, man, we're gonna keep on pushing forward. So stay tuned to PA Power Wrestling. We're going to give you all the information that we can on the PIAA season. We're going to try to get some wrestling going. We're going to try to host some events. We're trying our best we can with what we got. So stay tuned for us. We're going to continue to give you the best coverage we can. So, Eric, as always, stay classy, wrestling fans, right?
Exactly, Ron.
All right. I appreciate it, Eric. And everyone, we will see you and talk to you very soon. Have a good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. You're right. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Be safe. And, we will see you back on the mats very, very soon. Thanks, everybody.